Hi everyone, Matt Bernier here in the Daily Racing Form Studios, joined by DRF's national handicapper Mike Watchmaker, taking a look at this weekend's Weekend Warrior for Saturday, November the 11th, a big day of racing down at Laurel Park. We'll also go over a race at Aqueduct, the Red Smith. Let's start off down in Laurel, Maryland, though. Race number 7, it's the safely kept $100,000 the purse. For 3-year-old fillies going 7/8 of a mile on the main track. This is an overflow field. You've got 16 listed, 2 of them on the AE list. You can go so many different ways in this race. It's really a fun betting race, Mike. You're going to go with Your Love for Chad Brown, the number 13.
I am going with Your Love, Matt, and I like the fact that she's in post 13 because most of the time in Laurel, you want outside trips. I mean, it's a track with just a natural outside flow to it. And I think Your Love is going to sit the perfect outside stalking trip in this race. But more than that, she's just pretty good. I mean, she's had 5 career starts. She's won 3 of them. The only poor race she ran was when she was in against much tougher in the Grade 1 Test Stakes. Her only other loss was 2 starts back. It was a narrow defeat in an allowance race, also at Saratoga. I thought that she was too close to a quick early pace that day, but she relaxed nicely last time out at Belmont Park, and she scored decisively. And I just think working out a similar kind of off-the-pace outside stalking trip in this spot will do good for her. And I not only like her in this race, but I'm also against the 3 fillies in this race coming out of the Charlestown Oaks. And I think that one of the 3, Shimmering Aspen, is liable to be the favorite in this race.
Yeah, and Shimmering Aspen, you know, she's kind of one that I planned on segueing to, where it's a really interesting race because you've got a number of horses that have accomplished some big things that have gone off favored in big races, Shimmering Aspen being one of them. She was the favorite in the Black-Eyed Susan, as well as that Charlestown Oaks that you made mention of. Ms. Locust Point, we haven't seen her since February down at Gulfstream. She went off as the favorite in the Forward Gal, which you had Tecalita and some other familiar names in there. Dawn the Destroyer was the favorite in the Prioress up at Saratoga. And then you've got sort of unknowns. There's some fillies getting some major class tests in here, like the number 2 Moonlit Song, who's really done nothing wrong in her career, but she's been sticking to West Virginia bred company. Without touching on every one of these, who else in this field do you like?
Well, there is one other filly in this race that I like, but let me first explain why I don't want the horses coming out of the Charlestown Oaks, and that's Shimmering Aspen, who finished a tired 6th in the race. Burned, who according to the past performances in the chart closed 15.5 lengths during the running of that race to finish 4th, beating a length and a half, and a Stroll in the Park, who was close to the pace in that race before tiring. The reason why I don't want any of them out of the Charlestown Oaks is because I have real questions about the strength of that race. Yorkie Poo Princess finished 2nd in that race at 75-1, and there was a good reason why she was 75-1 that day, because her 5 prior starts were dismal, and even some of her best back races were only mediocre. You could make the case, though, that Yorkie Poo Princess was clearly best in the Charlestown Oaks because she was right with a pace that completely disintegrated, and she beat everybody in that race except one. So if Yorkie Poo Princess is 75-1 coming off a long string of terrible races is the best horse, at least the way I look at the race, in the running, I think you could really question the quality of the race. Now, to answer your question, who of these other horses am I most intrigued with? It's Ms. Locust Point. I was very impressed with the way Ms. Locust Point won the Gin Talking Stakes at Laurel on New Year's Eve last year. So much so that I took her, I believe she was a Weekend Warrior play in the Forward Gal Stakes a couple months later at Gulfstream Park. And Ms. Locust Point shot to the lead in the Forward Gal. She was cruising on the front end, and she, to me, looked every bit a winner. And then all of a sudden, she gave way suddenly in the stretch. Now, as it turns out, I don't think the rail was the place to be that day at Gulfstream Park, and Ms. Locust Point was on the inside. But more than that, she was off 9 months after that race. This is going to be a first start back, so something clearly went wrong. But I do think Ms. Locust Point is a very talented filly. If I wasn't concerned about her being hooked early by, or at least pressured early by some other speed horses in this race, I might have taken her. But I do want someone who's going to work out an outside trip in here from a little bit off the pace, and that's why I went with Your Love, who I just like a little bit better.
On a day full of really good racing down at Laurel Park, race 7, the safely kept, might be the best of the entire lot. A full field of 14, 2 on the also eligible list. Mike's going to go with the number 13, Your Love, Joe Bravo with the mount for Chad Brown and company. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to go north to Aqueduct. We'll take a look at the Red Smith on the turf.